3:47 a.m. Bathroom tile cold under my knees, both hands on the sink, waiting to see which way my stomach was going to decide the night. It decided twice. When I finally sat back against the tub, shaking, I saw it. A chipped mason jar on the windowsill, 3 stems of mint rooted in plain tap water. My grandmother's jar. 2 years I'd kept it alive, without ever asking why she grew medicine in a cup instead of just buying it. That night, I finally asked. Grandma raised 6 kids with a Bible on one end of the counter and a tin recipe box on the other. Turns out those 2 weren't separate at all. Tucked between her casserole cards were her own notes, half scripture, half kitchen chemistry. I spent months checking them against the actual research. Most of it held up. 9 jars. 9 plants that root in nothing but a glass of water. Let's start with the one that was staring at me that night. Peppermint. If your stomach has ever turned on you at the worst possible hour, this is the one Grandma reached for first, and there's a reason it was sitting closest to the bathroom. The active compound is menthol. It activates a specific receptor in cold-sensitive nerve cells called TRPM8. Flip that switch and your nerves fire a cooling signal to the brain. No actual drop in temperature required. Your body gets fooled into feeling relief. Hospitals figured this out before I did. A review in the Journal of Peri-Anesthesia Nursing found that inhaling diluted peppermint oil meaningfully reduced nausea after surgery compared to placebo. For digestion, menthol relaxes the smooth muscle lining the gut wall. Picture a clenched fist, slowly unclenching. Gas moves. Cramping eases. A Cochrane review, about as skeptical a source as medical research gets, backs peppermint specifically for irritable bowel syndrome symptoms. Enteric-coated peppermint oil capsules are now a legitimate option. Gastroenterologists actually recommend. One detail stopped me mid-scroll. In preliminary lab studies, peppermint has shown antimicrobial activity against Helicobacter pylori, the bacterium behind most stomach ulcers. That's not a cure, just a reason to keep paying attention. Matthew 23:23 even mentions tithing mint, alongside dill and cumin. But the peppermint rooted in my jar, Mentha times Piperita, is a hybrid first formally described by English botanist John Ray in 1696, found growing wild in England. Whatever mint the Pharisees were taxing, it wasn't this exact plant, almost certainly peppermint's older, plainer cousin, a few jars down this windowsill. Growing it, cut a stem about 4 inches long, just below a leaf node. Strip the lower leaves so nothing rots below the waterline. Drop it in a clean glass, plain tap water is fine, and set it on a bright windowsill out of direct afternoon sun. Roots show up in 5 to 10 days. For tea, use 4 or 5 fresh leaves and pour over water that's near boiling, not a rolling boil, which cooks off the oils you actually want. Steep 4 minutes. A diluted topical application has shown real reduction in tension, headache, pain, and an oral cup helps with gut cramping specifically. Grandma's card for the second jar wasn't about the stomach at all. It was for the thing that happens after your stomach settles down and your mind still hasn't gotten the message. 2. Lemon balm. You know the feeling. Body exhausted, brain still doing laps around tomorrow's problem at midnight. That's the jar for tonight. Rub 1 leaf of lemon balm between your fingers and your whole hand smells like a lemon tree. Met a rainstorm. The primary compounds are rosmarinic acid and a family of volatile terpenes. Rosmarinic acid turns down the same inflammatory signaling cascade that tells your immune system to overreact. I think of it as a hand on a volume knob that's been cranked too high for too long. The best documented use is nervous system support. A randomized controlled trial published in Nutrients found that lemon balm extract measurably reduced self-reported anxiety and improved sleep quality in stressed adults. The effect is mild to moderate, not sedating like a sleeping pill, closer to someone taking the sharp edge off a hard day. There's antiviral research too. Rosmarinic acid and related compounds inhibit herpes simplex virus in lab conditions, and a topical lemon balm cream has been clinically tested specifically for cold, sore healing time, with favorable results published in Phytomedicine. Its scientific name, Melissa officinalis, comes from the Greek for honeybee. Beekeepers have rubbed it inside empty hives for centuries to calm new swarms, and when Jeremiah 8:22 asks, "Is there no balm in Gilead?" that's a different plant entirely. A fragrant resin traders carried into Egypt in Genesis 37. Arshawu. Lemon balm just borrowed the name centuries later. Growing it. Take a cutting with 2 or 3 leaf pairs, strip the stem below the waterline, and place it in a clean glass in bright, indirect light. It's slower than peppermint, 10 to 14 days to root, and you'll want to change the water every 3 days to keep bacteria down. For tea, use a small handful of fresh leaves, steeped 5 minutes in water just off the boil. I add a strip of lemon peel. 2 to 3 cups in the evening is the range studied for supporting the transition into sleep without the grogginess some sleep aids leave behind the next morning. 2 jars down. This third one I almost skipped because for years I couldn't figure out why Grandma kept a cutting of it in water when the same plant grew wild along the fence line outside. Turns out she knew something about brains that I didn't. 3. Rosemary. Ever walk into a room, completely forget why, and just stand there? That fog is exactly what this jar addresses, and it's not a coincidence. Grandma kept it on the sill she could see from her reading chair. Rosemary grows wild on rocky Mediterranean hillsides, thin, dry soil, brutal summer sun, and that resilience is written into its chemistry. The 2 most studied compounds are rosmarinic acid, the same one in lemon balm, and carnosic acid. Both are potent antioxidants and anti-inflammatories, and carnosic acid specifically shows neuroprotective effects in cell studies, reducing the kind of oxidative damage that accumulates in neural tissue with age. It's rust-proofing, essentially, for the cells that run your thinking. The cognitive effect shows up even from smell alone. Inhaled 1,8-cineol. A major component of rosemary's aroma correlates with higher blood levels of a compound linked to neural activity. A study in Therapeutic Advances in Psychopharmacology found statistically significant improvements in speed and accuracy of mental performance in people exposed to rosemary-scented air versus a control group who weren't. It's also a genuine antimicrobial against several bacterial strains, responsible for food spoilage. Why cooks have relied on it as a natural preservative for centuries, long before anyone had a word for antimicrobial. Its Latin name, rosmarinus, means dew of the sea, a nod to the coastal cliffs it grows wild on. There's also a legend, not scripture but old Christian folklore, attached to the Gospel's account of the flight into Egypt in Matthew 2, that Mary rested her cloak on a white-flowered rosemary bush, and the flowers turned blue and never turned back, which is why rosemary still carries the folk name Rose of Mary across Europe. Growing it. Rosemary wants a woody-tipped cutting, about 6 inches, with the lower 3 inches stripped of leaves. Soft green tips tend to rot before they root. Use a narrow-necked jar so the stem stays upright. Roots take 2 to 4 weeks, and you'll want to change the water every few days. For everyday use, a fresh sprig finished in olive oil works beautifully, or steep 2 sprigs in near boiling water for 7 minutes. That preparation supports digestion, and based on preliminary observations, may add a mild anti-inflammatory benefit with regular use. Next to the rosemary sat a plant I mixed up with its cousin for years, right up until I actually tasted the difference side by side. Spearmint. That heavy, bloated feeling after a big lunch, the one where you just want to lie down under your desk. This is the jar for that. Spearmint is peppermint's quieter sibling. Less menthol, more of a compound called carvone, which makes it gentler, and it's the one I reach for in the evening when peppermint feels like too much of a jolt. Carvone relaxes the smooth muscle of the gastrointestinal tract through a mechanism similar to menthol's, just noticeably softer, and it shows preliminary antifungal activity in lab settings, particularly against Candida species. But here's the finding most people never hear about. A study in phytotherapy research found that 2 cups of spearmint tea daily for 30 days produced a statistically significant reduction in free testosterone in women with polycystic ovary syndrome, a condition partly driven by excess androgens. My cousin found that same study on her own, right after her diagnosis, years before I ever opened Grandma's recipe box. There's also a clinical trial showing a standardized spearmint extract improved working memory scores in older adults with age-related memory changes over 90 days. The compounds responsible there appear to be rosmarinic acid and specific polyphenols, not the carvone that gives the plant its flavor. This is where Grandma's Bible note finally pays off. Matthew 23:23 and Luke 11:42 both mention tithing mint, and most scholars now believe that mint was closer to spearmint than the English hybrid. 2 jars back. If a 1st century Judean garden grew mint, this is probably it. Growing it. Root spearmint, exactly like peppermint. A 4-inch cutting, lower leaves stripped, clean glass of water, bright windowsill. They can share a windowsill. I keep both side by side. Peppermint goes in my morning cup, spearmint in the evening one. For tea, use 6 to 8 fresh leaves, steeped 5 minutes in water, a little cooler than you'd use for peppermint, around 85 degrees Celsius, which preserves the carvone. It has a clean, almost sweet quality, and it supports digestion without the more stimulating edge. Peppermint has... The 5th jar had nothing to do with digestion at all. It was for something that once had me pacing the kitchen floor at midnight, holding my jaw. 5. Basil. A toothache flaring up on a Friday night. Every dentist's office closed until Monday. You already understand why this jar earns its spot. The primary actives in sweet basil are eugenol and linalool. Eugenol is the exact same compound dentists use to put directly on aching teeth for generations in clove-based preparations before modern anesthetics took over. It's a genuine direct pain signal dampener, not a placebo effect. Linalool interacts with the same neural receptor system that some anti-anxiety medications target, easing localized inflammation while also calming neural overfiring. Worth a quick note. Tulsi, or holy basil, is a related but distinct species, Ocimum tenuiflorum, with documented adaptogenic and cortisol-modulating effects across South Asian research literature. Sweet basil, the one most people grow, has the stronger anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial data. One caution: I'd rather you hear this from me than out of context. Eugenol affects platelet aggregation, the earliest stage of blood clot formation. That's relevant if you're on blood-thinning medication and considering a concentrated eugenol preparation. A generous handful of fresh basil on your dinner plate is an entirely different, much smaller matter. The Bible doesn't name basil directly, but Greek Orthodox tradition holds that when Saint Helena searched for the true cross in 4th century Jerusalem, she found the site marked by a patch of fragrant basil, and it's been part of church ritual ever since. Tradition, not scripture, but likely why. Basilikon, its Greek root, means royal. Growing it, basil roots faster than anything else on this list. A 3 to 4 inch cutting will show roots in as little as 4 to 5 days in a warm, bright spot. Pinch off any flower buds, since they redirect the plant's energy away from growing roots. I keep a jar going all summer. When a stem gets long enough, I pinch it back and drop that cutting into a fresh glass for a continuous supply. For fresh use, tear the leaves instead of cutting them with a knife. Tearing releases more of the oil. For something more concentrated, steep 10 to 12 large fresh leaves in near boiling water for 5 minutes and drink before meals for digestive comfort. Grandma's 6th card had exactly 4 words underlined twice. For when it's coming. Seize. Oregano. That first scratchy tickle in your throat, the one that tells you a cold is about 12 hours out, whether you're ready or not. This is the jar for that warning sign. Oregano has one of the strongest antimicrobial profiles of any culinary herb ever formally studied. Laboratory research has tested it against a wide range of bacterial and fungal strains, including some resistant to standard antibiotics. The 2 primary compounds are carvacrol and thymol. Carvacrol disrupts bacterial cell membranes. Directly picture it less as fighting an enemy head-on and more as collapsing the tent it's sheltering in. Once the membrane fails, the bacterium can't hold the internal conditions it needs to survive. Studies suggest this mechanism is active against Staphylococcus aureus, E. coli, and Listeria monocytogenes, among others, though the strongest evidence comes from lab dish studies rather than human trials, which remain limited. Preliminary observations suggest concentrated oral oregano oil preparations, a different, stronger product than the culinary herb, may reduce symptoms of small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Its antioxidant capacity, measured by the ORAC assay, consistently ranks among the highest of any culinary herb tested, higher per gram than blueberries in multiple comparisons. That's not a fistful a day thing. It means the oregano already in your cabinet is doing more than seasoning. Hyssop shows up throughout Scripture. The Passover blood on doorposts in Exodus 12:22, Psalm 51's "Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean." The branch offered to Jesus in John 19, Arshitol. But a number of biblical botanists argue the plant those verses describe isn't Hyssopus officinalis, the hyssop sold in nurseries today. It's more likely Origanum syriacum, a wild Middle Eastern relative of the exact plant in this jar, meaning oregano may have the stronger claim to the name. Growing it. Use soft stem tips, not the woody base, and strip the bottom 3 inches, leaving 2 leaf pairs at the top. Roots appear in 10 to 14 days. Oregano tea is uncommon in most Western kitchens, but across Greece and the Eastern Mediterranean, it's been the standard preparation for respiratory and digestive complaints for generations. Use 2 teaspoons of fresh leaves, 5 minutes steeped in near boiling water. It tastes exactly as intense as you'd expect. Day to day, the most practical method is generous, regular use in cooking. The antimicrobial compounds survive moderate cooking heat, and studies suggest adding oregano to meat marinades reduces the formation of certain harmful compounds, heterocyclic amines, that form when meat hits high heat. Card 7 was the only one written in a different pen than the rest, like she'd added it years later, after something had changed for her personally. 7. Say. Waking up at 2 in the morning drenched, kicking the blankets off in a room that suddenly feels 10 degrees too warm. If that's happened to you, this jar was written for exactly that moment. Sage has the longest unbroken history of medicinal use in European herbal tradition. Roman physicians carried it as standard practice. A medieval saying put it plainly: "Why should a man die who has sage in his garden?" Not exaggeration for its era. A fair assessment of what was actually available. 2 mechanisms hold up especially well in modern research: cognitive support and menopausal symptom relief. For memory, sage contains compounds that inhibit the enzyme responsible for breaking down acetylcholine. The brain's primary attention and memory signal block that breakdown, and more of the signal stays active longer, which happens to be the exact same mechanism targeted by certain pharmaceutical Alzheimer's treatments. Studies show sage extract produces measurable improvement on memory tests in healthy adults. For hot flashes specifically, an open-label multi-center trial published in Advances in Therapy found that a once-daily fresh sage leaf preparation reduced total hot flash intensity by 64% over 8 weeks compared to baseline. The proposed mechanism involves sage compounds acting on estrogen receptors, a mild phytoestrogenic signal rather than an actual hormone, and multiple later studies have found consistent results. One caution: sage contains thujone, which in very large amounts is neurotoxic. That concentration is only realistically reachable through sage, essential oil taken directly, not through tea or ordinary cooking. Reasonable culinary and tea use carries no such concern. Here's a theory I find fascinating, even if it's debated. Exodus 25 describes the temple menorah in precise, almost botanical detail: branches, buds, blossoms. Some botanists have proposed the design was based on a native wild sage, Salvia palaestina, whose branching pattern in bloom resembles a candelabra. Not settled fact, but a striking coincidence, and sage's genus name, Salvia, comes from the Latin for to heal, the same root behind salvation. Growing it, sage is the hardest of the 9 to root in water. Use softwood tip cuttings, 4 to 5 inches long, lower leaves removed, in a very clean glass, changing the water every 2 days, since sage is more prone to stem rot than the others. For a lot of people, a small potted plant works more reliably than a water cutting. For cognitive or menopausal support, steep 4 to 5 fresh leaves for 6 minutes in water, just below boiling, once or twice daily. Studies suggest the benefits build gradually over 4 to 6 weeks of consistent use, not overnight. Jar 8. I almost didn't count as medicine at all. It was just dinner. 8. Green onion. That blood pressure cuff beeping in a pharmacy waiting room, and you doing quiet math in your head about your family history. This jar is the quiet, unglamorous answer to that particular worry. Green onions cost less than $1 a bunch, but the chemistry behind the allium family is among the most consistently studied in food as medicine literature. The active compounds include quercetin, one of the most extensively researched natural anti-inflammatory compounds in current science, concentrated especially in the green tops, along with organosulfur compounds that form the moment the tissue is cut or crushed. Also, where that familiar sting comes from. Cardiovascular support is the single most consistent research finding across the entire allium family. Regular consumption is linked to reduced arterial stiffness and modest blood pressure management, backed by both epidemiological data and several controlled trials. The proposed mechanism: sulfur compounds help keep the inner lining of blood vessels pliable and responsive instead of rigid. Green onions also contain fructooligosaccharides, a prebiotic fiber that feeds specific beneficial bacteria in your gut. Maintaining gut bacterial diversity is one of the more consequential things a diet can support long-term, and studies suggest regular allium consumption measurably shifts gut bacterial composition toward more favorable profiles. The Bible names this exact plant. In Numbers 11:5, the newly freed Israelites complained to Moses about missing Egypt's food. The fish, the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions, the garlic. It might be the earliest recorded case of homesickness expressed as a grocery list, and onions made the cut. Growing it. This is the fastest, most satisfying jar of the 9. Take the white root end of any grocery store green onion and stand it in a shallow glass with about 1 inch of water. The roots are already there. You're just waking them back up. New green shoots appear within 3 days, and you'll have full-length tops again within a week. One grocery store bunch effectively becomes 2 or 3 harvests. Use the green tops raw, chopped into eggs, stirred through rice, scattered over soup, right before serving. Heat degrades some of the quercetin content, so raw use gets you the most benefit. No steeping, no preparation, just cut and eat. Which brings me to the last jar, the one that wasn't sitting in a glass of water at all, because it doesn't play by the same rules as the other 8. Nina, Aloe Vera. I still have a healthy respect for my oven's top rack, entirely because of what happened the last time I forgot to grab a mitt. Aloe vera has been documented as a wound and burn treatment for over 3,000 years, appearing in the Ebers papyrus in Egypt around 1550 BCE, in Greek medical texts, and in Roman writings. Not folk medicine with good marketing. A research history longer than most modern countries have existed. The inner gel contains more than 75 identified active compounds, polysaccharides, anthraquinones, and gibberellins. Among them, the most studied is a polysaccharide called asmanan, which accelerates fibroblast activity in wound healing. Fibroblasts are the cells that physically rebuild damaged tissue, and asamanan appears to increase how fast they get to work. Controlled studies confirm faster healing times for minor burns and abrasions compared to standard petroleum jelly-based treatment. For internal use, juice made from the inner leaf only, specifically excluding the outer latex layer, shows evidence of supporting gut lining integrity. A randomized double-blind trial in alimentary pharmacology and therapeutics found it reduced symptom scores in active ulcerative colitis. Preparation genuinely matters here. Inner gel juice and whole leaf extract are 2 very different products with 2 very different risk profiles. The counterintuitive finding here: aloe's immune-modulating polysaccharides appear in preliminary lab studies to improve the responsiveness of macrophages, the immune system's first responders, without broadly ramping up immune activity overall. I think of it less as hiring more security guards and more as handing the ones already on shift a better flashlight. The part that surprised me most in Grandma's Bible notes: aloe is named several times in Scripture. Myrrh and aloes carried by Nicodemus for Jesus' burial in John 19:39, listed among the finest spices in Song of Solomon 4:6. But most biblical scholars believe aloes there, the Hebrew ahalim, actually refers to agar wood, a fragrant, resinous wood from Southeast Asia, not the succulent gel plant on my counter. A common mix-up, two unrelated plants, sharing one name. Growing it, aloe doesn't root the way the other 8 do. It produces offsets called pups at the base of the mother plant, and separating and potting one of those is the most reliable method. You can attempt a leaf cutting in about an inch of water, letting the cut end callus for a day first, but success rates run lower, and roots can take several weeks to show up. For a minor kitchen burn, a scrape, or dry cracked hands, break off a lower leaf, slice it lengthwise, and apply the clear inner gel directly. It's both effective and safe for superficial skin injuries. For internal use, if you're making your own preparation, scoop only the clear inner gel. Blend it with water at roughly a 1:4 ratio and use it within 2 days. 2 to 4 tablespoons is the range that's actually been studied for digestive benefit. More is not better here, and any preparation that includes the yellow latex layer carries a meaningfully different and more serious risk profile. 9 jars. No garden required, no special soil, just water, a cutting, and enough patience to let roots show up on their own timeline. I still keep all 9 going. The recipe box sits in a drawer now, closer to the stove than it ever was in hers, and I add my own notes whenever something new holds up. What I hope you take from this isn't a rigid protocol. It's a different way of looking at your own windowsill, less like empty space and more like a small pharmacy you tend, instead of one you drive to. If you want more of this, the plants, the research, the stories that come with them, hit subscribe. There's a new jar and a new story every day. One question before you go. Which of these 9 do you already have, growing somewhere in your house? And which one are you starting tonight, in water or straight into soil? I read every comment. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. That means a lot. If you got something out of this, leave a like, and I'll see you tomorrow.